Thank you, Governor. I am leaving from here to go to Portland Airport to fly to Washington, D.C. I appreciate the opportunity to comment on the proposed motion. I would like to take just a few minutes and help put in perspective what the Elliott Forest really is, because I really appreciated Treasurer Reed's use of the term undivided loyalty to the public schools. I want everyone to understand the Elliott Forest is not Shampooey. It's not Yellowstone. It's not Yosemite. When Oregon became a state in 1859, the federal government they essentially took all of our state and divided it up into sections, or townships, and the townships are squares of 6 miles each, and each of those townships is divided into 36 squares, or sections, and these sections are 1 mile apiece. So the federal government said, as part of becoming a state, we're going to dedicate 2 of the sections of each township to public education. They put it into a trust for public education. And then in the 1930s, a forester named Elliott helped to consolidate many of these sections that are all over the state into one place, and that became the Elliott State Forest. And so the Elliott State Forest is a trust, a land trust for the purpose of supporting education. And we, as members of the land board, are trustees over that trust. And so our trustee responsibility is to ensure an undivided loyalty to the common school fund and to public education. And so I wasn't here in August 2015. That's when the previous land board decided to sell the Elliott Forest based on the fact that it wasn't generating much revenue. And there is a responsibility to utilize this land trust for the generation of funds for education. And so I wouldn't have voted for it because the price that ended up being placed on it was $220.8 million, which I think is too low. Yeah. But it's what was put into the protocols, which was the offer to sell. And at that time, there were 49 different groups that came forward saying that they would be interested in thinking about it. I mean, some of them included the Nature Conservancy, I believe, was on it. Oh, the Audubon Society, the Eco Trust, the Sierra Club, the League of Conservation Voters. They all said, we might be interested in bidding on it. As it turned out, there was only one qualified bid that came in, and that bid was from the Lone Rock Timber Management Company, the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians, and the Confederate tribes of Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siuslaw Indians. Okay, so we got tribes and Lone Rock, and they said, we can raise the money. They spent over $500,000 over the last 18 months complying with the protocols. And Department of State Lands has spent over $3.5 million complying with the protocols. And so here we are as trustees over this land trust, having a sale that's been offered in August of 2015 that has been accepted, and now we're being asked to change the terms. Now, like I said, I would not have accepted it because I don't think that would have been appropriate, but I can't change what happened in the past. So I believe that this that it's unethical to come forward now and to say we're just going to disregard what we offered. I think that if the protocols were met, the state is once again telling the tribes if we're going to go forward with this, that they would have a small amount of lands back, and it's kind of like saying 100 years or 150 years ago, you'll have this land as long as the rivers flow and the grass will grow. But now what are we doing? We're coming back and saying, but once again, the government is coming back and is going to change the terms. We're going to break the promise. And so I feel in a very difficult position because I am not in favor of selling the forest, and I would not have voted for it, but I'm a trustee of a land trust, and a deal was offered, and a deal was made, and in the way that I lived my life, in the way that I was a lawyer, even if you shook hands on a deal, even if it turns out to be a bad deal, you keep your promise, and that it's up to the state to do that. So today we have a new land board, and we have a new treasurer, a new secretary of state, and the governor who was here made the decision in August of 2015 to sell it, and we're being asked to make a change. I think that it's our fiduciary duty as trustees of the Elliott State Forest to maximize the financial benefits for Oregon's 197 school districts. If the $220.8 million had been invested in the Common School Fund for the last 3 years, it would have generated $54 million. The return, thanks to the excellent staff in the Treasurer's office, has been 8.11%. And so if that cash was there, it would have generated that. But in fact, what has happened, it cost the school fund nearly $3 million just to maintain it. And so we're in this difficult position. I appreciate the attempt of Treasurer Reed to try and balance and protect to a greater extent the assets in this forest by making a modification in the protocols in the sale offer that was made, and hopefully these modifications would be acceptable so that we are not breaking a promise to the tribes and to Lone Rock.
What about the people